For centuries, the world has whispered the same lie. Work hard, and you will be free. But those who whisper it are the ones who've never worked a day for survival. They sit in towers built by hands they'll never shake. Their wealth compounds while your time decays. The worker gives his life in fragments, hours for dollars, years for stability, decades for an illusion of peace, and calls it purpose. But purpose without ownership is just a gilded cage. Every empire that's ever existed ran on the same fuel, the labor of the unaware. Kings built kingdoms, not with their hands, but with the faith of those who believed they must serve. That same model survived the collapse of monarchies, revolutions, and religions. It simply changed names. The crown became a corporation. The throne became a boardroom. The priesthood became policy. Now they do not rule you through fear of the sword. They rule you through comfort, convenience, and the illusion of choice. They give you the weekend and take your years. They give you a raise and steal your time. They tell you to be grateful, to play it safe, to build a career instead of a legacy. And slowly, the working class is lulled to sleep by routine, never realizing they are the bloodline of an empire that no longer needs them awake. But something in you has stirred. You can feel it, can't you? That quiet rage when you realize how much life you've traded for scraps. That pulse of rebellion that beats harder each time your alarm rings before sunrise. That voice inside that whispers, there must be more than this. That voice is not madness. It's memory. It's the remembrance of what you truly are. A builder, a strategist, a creator of worlds. For generations, the few have learned the art of ownership. They understood that the true game was never about labor. It was about leverage. They own the resources, the systems, the flow of capital. They own the future because they invested in it before it arrived. But here you are, standing at the edge of a dying age, watching the old system cannibalize itself. Artificial intelligence, automation, digital empires, machines rising, humans replaced. The new kings are not flesh, but code. The new workers are not human, but synthetic. And yet, within this storm, a new kind of power awakens. For the first time in human history, ownership has become decentralized. You no longer need a crown to control wealth. You need clarity. You no longer need privilege to hold power. You need understanding. The same markets that once belonged only to the elite are now open. Fractional shares, crypto assets, index funds, tools of creation and control placed within reach of those who dare to learn. You were never meant to stay a laborer. You were meant to evolve beyond it. But the transformation isn't easy. The workers' chains are not made of metal. They are made of habit, distraction, and belief. You've been conditioned to think like an owned entity, to trade energy for approval, time for survival, comfort for purpose. To break free, you must tear down that mental architecture and rebuild yourself, not as a servant of systems, but as a sovereign over them. This is not rebellion against society. It is reclamation of self. Because when you master ownership, you no longer beg for raises. You create them. You no longer fear losing your job. You become the job. You no longer worship the market. You learn to command it. The war for freedom has evolved. It is no longer fought with weapons. It is fought with understanding. Ownership is not just about wealth. It is about awareness. The moment you realize that the economy is a game of power, not fairness, you stop playing to survive and start playing to win. And that, my friend, is where awakening begins. The world was designed to keep you busy, not free. Every structure around you reinforces one silent command: stay predictable. From childhood, they told you that success meant fitting in. You were trained to obey bells, to ask for permission, to sit for 8 hours while your imagination died. That wasn't education. That was conditioning. They needed you efficient enough to operate the machine, but not awake enough to own it. The system rewards comfort, because comfort kills ambition. It celebrates hard workers because they make the perfect slaves. And it glorifies stability, because stability is just another word for control. You see, the working class was never meant to win the game. They were meant to power it. But now, the world has changed. The gatekeepers have fallen asleep. The digital age has blurred the lines between peasant and prince. The same markets that once rejected you now welcome you, if you're willing to learn their language. The age of ignorance is over. The age of ownership has begun. But to step into it, you must transform. Not just your finances, your identity. You must unlearn everything that's been drilled into you and rebuild yourself as a strategist of wealth, not a servant of wages. This transformation begins with 5 steps. Each one is a mental war. Each one cuts through a layer of illusion. Each one turns you from owned into owner. Step 1. Detach from the worker identity. You are not your job. You are not your title. You are not your income. But the system wants you to believe that you are. That's how it keeps you in line. It convinces you that your worth is measured by what you produce, not by what you create. It feeds you dopamine with promotions, then enslaves you with debt. It tells you that security comes from obedience, but obedience is the death of freedom. The first step toward ownership is detachment, the psychological severing of identity from employment. Understand this. Your job is a temporary exchange of labor for capital. Nothing more. It's a tool, not a home. You are renting your time to the market while building leverage for your escape. That's the truth every wealthy person knows and few ever admit. When you start to detach, you will feel guilt. That guilt is the chain breaking. You will feel fear. That fear is the illusion of stability dissolving. You will hear voices, family, friends, co-workers, all echoing the same lie. Be realistic. Realistic is the code word for obedient. To detach is to reclaim ownership over your thoughts. It's to see yourself not as a laborer in the system, but as an architect above it. Every decision must now serve your sovereignty. Every expense must either bring freedom or be eliminated. Every hour must either build leverage or be reclaimed. When you stop identifying as a worker, you start thinking like a builder. And that is where ownership begins. Step 2. Reprogram your understanding of money. Most people misunderstand money because they were never meant to understand it. You were taught that money is earned through time. That belief keeps you enslaved, because as long as time equals money, you'll never be free. You'll keep selling the one thing that can never be replaced, your life force. The truth? Money is a tool for energy transfer. It's not meant to be hoarded. It's meant to flow, to grow, to multiply. The wealthy don't chase money. They control its direction. They don't trade time for income. They trade assets for influence. To reprogram your relationship with money, you must study it like a scientist studies the stars. Track where it goes, what it serves, and who it obeys. When you understand that money moves toward confidence, control, and creativity, you stop chasing it and start magnetizing it. Build systems that earn while you rest. Let your money become your laborer. Every dollar should carry a mission. Return with reinforcements. To the average mind, that sounds like fantasy. To the awakened mind, it's math. Once you understand how capital compounds, you stop thinking in hours and start thinking in decades. You stop asking, how can I afford this? And start asking, how can I own what produces this? The worker asks for more pay. The owner builds more streams. This is the reprogramming, from wage to wealth, from effort to equity. Step 3, learn the language of markets. Every era has its language of power. In the ancient world, it was land. In the industrial age, it was machinery. Today, it's markets, digital, volatile, and alive. If you cannot speak the language of markets, you are mute in the court of kings. To learn it, you must dedicate yourself to financial literacy like a warrior trains for combat. You must study how capital flows between industries, how fear moves prices, how innovation reshapes value. Learn what an asset is. Learn why cash decays. Learn how ownership scales. Every trade you study, every balance sheet you understand, every chart you interpret, these are not random numbers. They are whispers of power. Don't approach investing like gambling. Approach it like architecture. The goal is not to win a quick bet. The goal is to build a fortress. Every stock, every index fund, every share is a brick in your foundation of freedom. The worker earns once. The owner earns indefinitely. You don't need to be rich to invest. You need to be consistent. A single share is a declaration of independence, a silent rebellion against the system that told you ownership was not for people like you. Learn the market until you can see opportunity in chaos. Study until volatility excites you instead of scares you. Because once you master the language of money, you will never be poor again, even when you have nothing. Step 4, build leverage through creation. Ownership without creation is dependence in disguise. True wealth is not about how much you have. It's about how many systems you control. You must build something that works for you, even when you sleep. This can be a business, a brand, digital assets, content, real estate, investments, anything that multiplies your time instead of consuming it. Creation is sacred warfare against stagnation. Every idea you turn into income, every system you automate, every process you refine. These are acts of rebellion. You are building your way out of servitude. Leverage is power multiplied through creativity. The poor think in hours. The rich think in mechanisms. When you own something that creates, you transcend survival. You become the source. Others will call you lucky, but luck is just the residue of disciplined creation. Do not fear the difficulty of building. Fear the comfort of serving. Because the longer you spend building someone else's empire, the less time you'll have to build your own. Step 5. Evolve beyond fear and learn to move with strategy. Fear is the final chain. Every time you hesitate, the system wins. Every time you doubt, the old programming tightens. You are not battling poverty. You are battling hesitation. The owners of the world are not braver than you. They simply act faster. They understand that the only true risk is inaction. To evolve beyond fear, you must become strategic, not emotional. Strategy is cold. It is patient. It moves in silence. While the world chases trends, you study patterns. While the masses panic, you accumulate. While others react, you observe. Because the market rewards those who can wait. The future belongs to those who can see beyond today. You must learn to detach from the crowd, not out of arrogance, but out of awareness. Most people live in reaction. Owners live in design. When you think strategically, every loss becomes a lesson. Every setback becomes a recalibration. Every victory becomes another layer of confidence. Fear will always whisper, "What if you fail?" Strategy whispers back, "What if I win?" And that is the difference between the worker and the owner. The owned man waits for orders. The owner gives them. The owned man wakes to alarms. The owner wakes to opportunity. The owned man prays for raises. The owner raises his own value. You have spent your life feeding the machine. Now it's time to own the machine. This transition will not be easy. The world will not cheer for you. The system will not thank you for leaving it. But freedom was never meant to be comfortable. It was meant to be earned. Every share you own, every dollar you invest, every hour you reclaim, it all compounds. Slowly at first, then suddenly. And one day, you will look around and realize you are no longer part of their system. You have built your own. The future will not belong to those who work the hardest. It will belong to those who think the deepest, to those who learn the rules, master the tools, and take control of the flow of capital before it controls them. You are not a worker. You are a creator. You're not meant to serve. You're meant to rule, not over others, but over yourself, over your fears, over your future. So rise, detach, reprogram, learn, build, strategize. Do this, and you will never beg again. The age of labor is ending. The age of ownership has begun. And when the dust settles, the ones who refuse to evolve will look back and realize they spent their lives building empires for others, but not you. You were the one who learned to own. From owned to owner.